This is an instructional video about making predictions using known probabilities. And our essential question is, how can I use known probabilities to make predictions? So, for example, making predictions a little rhyme students will know is line, equals sign. And so that's a setup that they like to use. So let's do an example together. And I'm just going to do coins because it's a little bit easier to do that. So it will say something. These questions usually say something like based on relative frequency, how many, not any, how many times would you expect to flip tails with, I don't know, 150 flips? So the thing that students have to really keep in mind is it says based on what type. So this is based on relative frequency, meaning I'm using my collected data to figure that out. Sometimes it will say theoretical probability, which then we just think about the situation that we have. And so for like a coin, it'd be, I have two options and one of them is tails. But relative frequency, I use my collected data. So I have line, equal sign. Let's see, I have my total here is 50, and I flip tails 23 times. But they're predicting, what if I had it 150 times? I notice that I just need to multiply by 3 to do that. So here's one strategy. Geez, I can't even do this. That's 9. So you got 69. So I would say 69. Otherwise, what you can do is you can see a lot of students with this setup, they treat it similar to how they treated decimals. And so some students will take this and they'll change that fraction to a decimal. And then they multiply it by the total to figure out what that missing number is. That's another strategy students will use. That's the other one that I prefer to use. And then there's one that a lot of teachers, including myself, are not the biggest fan of doing. However, for some students, they know this, and it's the cross multiply. And so you do 23 times 150, and then you divide by the number that's by itself, you get to the same part. Really not the biggest fan of this solution. However, I know some students that makes the most sense to them, and so they choose to use it that way. I prefer to stick with either finding a relationship or just converting your fraction to decimal and then looking for your missing number. So that's how you use known probabilities to make predictions.